jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show.
Join us as we cover many an insane movie and numerous cult TV phenomenons. Are you ready to get jacked up? Are you with us? Then listen on.
Listener discretion is advised. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. It's a jacked up review show. Jacked up review show.
Welcome all. We got Ultimate Action Movies. Ken Bates, how are you, sir?
Hey. I'm not from
Hey.
Ultimate Action Movies, but I'll take it.
Shit.
I just represent my own damn self.
Oh, okay, shit. What am I thinking? I'm thinking of Mike Colton, I think, who was
Yeah,
on here.
you're thinking of the last time I was on. But hey, it's great to be back here.
here. Kacper Pachut, how are you, sir?
Doing very well. Thanks for having me on.
Anytime. And Scott McGregor.
Hello. Good to be back.
always brothers in arms. So just thought we'd lean into Jim Morrison's chaotic life as the lead singer of The Doors. So I'm just going to circle around with you all how you got into his various music. Was it back in the heyday or was it just after the fact? And Scott, I'll let you lead in a bit since you were especially looking forward to this. What is it about them that you think why they just continually are just ranked as one of the top 10, rock bands, 70s bands? Oh, hold on. There's someone's trying to join. Sorry about that.
It's Jim Morrison. He's not dead
Hey-o.
by now, but
All right. Who do we got? Andy Z, how are you? Hello. Hello. Andy from ProfilePodTV, right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, welcome aboard.
How's it
Welcome
going?
aboard. Very good. Yeah, we're just doing a casual, just roundtable of The Doors. I'll let you listen to Scott's lead, and we'll just kind of do a casual roundtable of Jim's pros and cons. Scott, what do you think sums up their appeal?
gee, I don't know. I mean, I know what it is for me. I actually, let me do a little bit of the history thing, I guess, with The Doors. Growing up where I did, I was born in '69, so I obviously didn't discover them till a few years later because I didn't know how to work the
Just
record player quite yet. But I think I probably heard them first. Where I grew up, I was trying to remember today, I think we only had like a couple AM stations. I mean, I think I remember literally when FM first hit our town. Yes, I'm 52, folks. It was that long ago. So like, I think all I ever heard on the AM was probably Light My Fire and maybe Hello, I Love You. And to me, he sounded like Sinatra or something. I mean, it sounded like he was a lounge singer at first.
No,
So
I know what you mean. They did
was
kind of
never
have
really
a similar
fan
kind of melody.
Like, Light My Fire is his more crooning type stuff. Which, appreciated the voice, but what I discovered about The Doors later on did not quite reconcile with that song that I first heard on, super AM radio. I probably finally got into them properly when I was in high school and starting to hang out with people that were giving me substances that would make you enjoy The Doors those years. And
it's a required commodity.
yes, so I mean that was my intro to it. Later on, I actually got to play them as a radio person, so that was kind of cool.
Sweet. College radio.
Originally, and I was actually in broadcast radio, terrestrial radio, long ago, and classic rock station, thankfully. So I got to hear some music that I like to hear, which is not always a luxury you have when you work in radio. Don't let them fool you. Not every DJ is happy with their job, kids.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. And as far as appeal, and I did actually my first review for my college newspaper that I wrote for was the Doors movie. It was the entertainment beat in Morrisville, New York, which didn't really have an entertainment beat. And so as far as appeal, I mean, I think it's just, I said that, obviously if you were in the stoner crowd and remained there for a good chunk of your life, they were kind of the soundtrack of that, counterculture, or one of the many bands that were. And I think just the writing, the words, and I mean, take or leave some of Morrison's live stuff, it was obviously raw, and I think that was obviously some of his appeal, but it's not the best live music ever recorded.
That's interesting that you bring that up, because I remember one person was doing like one of those film groups, like best and worst music bios. Of course, everyone's debating Bohemian Rhapsody, if it's a good clean movie or just a good summary but not much of a bio. And they got into the Doors and they're like, they exaggerated the whole abuse. I'm like, well, I don't know. There's this one recent 2014-2017 article with one of the band members rectifying that, saying that was the case. So
yeah, I mean, I don't think they really toned down. They probably did tone it down a bit, but when you're trying to burn your girlfriend in a closet, I don't think that's really something.
Great time. Are you kidding me, Scott? That's a great
just to point out that's I don't know that actually happened, but I've only read a couple of books about Jim, but I've never seen that in any book other than the movie. I mean, he was a crazy fuck. Don't get me wrong, but I think that might have been Oliver Stone, just being Oliver Stone. But I don't know that. But
just a kind of an amalgam of his bad behavior.
Yeah,
I mean, I read no one here gets out alive.
Yes.
In high school too, and that was I ate up all the rock bios, books when I was that age. So I mean, you said then we'll get into the movie later, but that's just my thing as far as appeal. I think it's always just got to be the music and the musicianship.
He imagined burning someone on fire or making a friend.
That was part of.
I don't think he was bad like Ike Turner or anything, but I know what you mean. Where it's just
well, I mean, if you kind of want your rock stars to break something, occasionally. Hopefully not people, but that's just kind of the allure and the mystique and lifestyle. But yeah, I think it's the music. I mean, his band Morrison always overshadows the band, who is full of just three absolutely amazing musicians that don't really ever kind of get their due. And I mean, I think that's it. Music, lyrics, and personality, and that's usually what makes anyone a star in rock and roll. So,
absolutely, and like you say, you want a music artist who you pretty much see what they're going for. You love their mystery, and I think in a post-Trump era now, so many people are just drawn to just outrageous bullshit that they see on YouTube, or just people making a mock of themselves. It's like, I call it Charlie Sheen culture. You know what I mean? Where it's just the whole, I mean, and I get that. Sometimes that is part of the appeal. Like seeing some hit TV star like, I don't know, Hasselhoff or Bill Shatner. I mean, that's a whole different thing where you're seeing them be quite the over-the-top character that's not too far from their ego-driven persona. But when it gets to a music artist where this is like, I don't know what to make of you. You just seem like and I think, unfortunately, in the post-Instagram world, don't get me wrong, it's a good site on the good day, but it gets really annoying too when we're just driven by the TikTok culture now, and it seems like, okay, I don't really give two shits what they tweeted on, I don't know, Twitter 5 months ago, or what they like to lip sync to on TikTok. I mean, that really doesn't tell me anything about their work. I would much rather an interview.
Right. I'm personally astounded by any, if I was a celebrity. Can you imagine Morrison was like on Twitter now?
Oh, he would be a train wreck,
That would
probably.
be epic, but yeah, it would be.
It would be epic, but it would also be his
Right, tweeting at 3 in the morning talking.
Agent dumps Morrison after a car fire. I don't know.
He'd never know where his phone was. Let's be honest.
Oh, he would.
Where's
get
my
into
phone?
So
I
much
don't know.
Me Too. He would be already canceled.
Oh,
like
goodness.
I don't know why any celebrity gets on social media, because it's always inevitably a disaster, because they'll eventually tweet something that'll get them canceled by somebody.
Absolutely. I
Why?
think of Ray Donovan, where it's like, oh dear, someone's sending in the fixtures now.
Right. And it's just like, why would you? And some celebrities have very purposefully, like, I remember one time, I think it was one of the cast of Parks and Rec, and they were responding to something, either somebody like Rush Limbaugh or, somebody.
Oh, that's right. They had like Gingrich on there, and then
they were just like,
Leslie.
Leslie, or the woman who plays Leslie Knope isn't on Twitter, but she'd like me to pass along, go fuck yourself to you, and so it's just like, why even bother? The smart celebrities stay off it, and I'm talked too much, and we're supposed to be talking about the Doors. So,
well, no, we're just, it was just a side conversation. Just an example is like, he had such a messy lifestyle, but he could get away with it back in the day.
Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, I even think back to like, oh my God, thank God there weren't like phone cameras in some of the parties I went to. That would be, not that I haven't already ruined most of my life through action and inaction, but
well, no, I know what you mean. Well, and the problem is, whether it's people with a beer or their kind of humor, someone's going to say something that's not acceptable. But
right.
If it was a private conversation, why do you give a shit? It doesn't even necessarily say anything about your persona other than that, it might have not been maybe the most politically correct. And I mean, high school, there was all kinds of, like, for me personally, just toxic kind of humor, but that was kind of the point. It was making fun of toxicness. And
yeah.
I think it's just harder to just joke now. People just don't know. I think we've gotten stupider, if that's a word, and it's
it might as well be, yes.
Yeah, and you can't fix stupid. And at the same time, I mean, it's also getting to the point where, I mean, everyone's just, they need everything just thrown at them. They don't have the time to process any kind of satire or double meanings.
Yeah.
And all the comedians are doing the whole, I might as well give up my career. It's like, all right, see ya. The door
whatever. There's too many of you anyway, so.
You're right.
I stopped trying to follow stand-up a long-ass time ago because it's like, who do I pick?
Totally. So, Kacper, I'll let you weigh in. But what do you think it is about the Doors? That just their never-ending, just drug venting machine and just barely getting by, getting anything in the can to record. Do you feel like that material really plays itself well even in their music? Like, you feel that hard, endless hours and work? Or
so I was born in 99, so I'm quite a bit past when the Doors ended, and obviously I was born a lot later after
you're making me feel old here.
It's funny.
9 years in front of me.
I was a massive Beatles fan growing up and just into like a lot of the music from the 60s, but I'd never heard of the Doors until my freshman year of college. I think I was on some YouTube video. Somebody mentioned that Jim Morrison was the greatest rock star ever, and I thought, who's Jim Morrison?
Nice.
So I ended up searching him up.
Don't you hate that when they use the damn lead singer as opposed to the damn band? Ah!
He would have hated it himself. I know he was obviously always big on the Doors as a collective band.
I'm so glad you said that, because did you see that recent article with actor Val Kilmer who portrayed him in the movie?
Not the recent one.
Well, so I don't know if it was New York Times or whatever. Anyway, he posted it, and it was just a very deep interview. Just, I don't know if there's a video version, but this came out like a year before his more recent Amazon Prime documentary. But it was just so cool because, like, I was just, it's tragic, but I just read through it, and kind of like how Jim Morrison probably didn't like himself and just abused the shit out of his body. Like, that's kind of what I got from Vol, where he had the fame, he had the fortune, but it just wasn't necessarily in the way he wanted it. He was just so creative to the point where he kind of just drained himself of any enjoyment from it.
Exactly.
Starring so many hit movies and then starring a few duds, but best part of them, and then just direct-to-video crapola, and then TV guest spots, playing himself in pop culture. And it just got to where it's just like he pretty much just was very underwhelmed by it all. What his agent was giving him,
And he did Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and he should have been happy again.
you would have thought, even being reuniting with Tony Scott on a few movies, you would have thought, hey, that's good enough. But yeah, that's kind of a perfect parallel. And I'm like, that's why he was perfect to play Jim Morrison. He could relate to him. He could become the character, the talent who's unhappy with, just very picky on what he's being given, and as opposed to what I see is what I get, but I think that's part of an actor. That's why anyone should play any kind of role if they can somehow become it in some fashion, regardless of whether they're at all like that persona. But I think, as much, that's why he was perfect to play him. I mean, because Jim was in many ways just a very hard to interpret and get through talent, kind of, in as many portrayals and pop culture kind of likes to think. So I think that's cool that you did that kind of build up, because that's kind of what everyone gets from that general persona.
It's almost a bit sad in a way too, because everybody knows Jim and who he was based off of his outrageous actions and being arrested on stage, right, being the first rock star.
So much dissatisfaction for one giant era,
Exactly. But Jim didn't really like that persona of him, right? Later on, he grew the beard, he gained some weight. He wanted to kind of distance himself from that sort of, young sex god lion image, right? And he wanted to kind of be more known as a poet. And so I think it's kind of bizarre because, like, I have an Instagram account called Jim Morrison and Friends.
No,
I post
I'm just kidding.
a ton of pictures of Jim Morrison, right? And it's
Nice.
funny because I think about it and I'm like, if Jim was alive, he'd probably hate this. He probably would hate that somebody's just posting pictures of him, because it's not really getting to who he was, right? It just, we're seeing like this outside
That's so
media
true.
persona where really he was this intelligent, deeper poet kind of
Celebrities are mad now how anything can be taken with a phone, but they probably still in many ways probably miss flash photography, where you had to actually focus your lens, and by the time you get some lens, I've already run away into my limo to where you can't see me,
Right.
If he were in this era, he would be just stop giving a fuck. He'd be like, okay, bodyguard, arrest him. Okay, you know what, I'm stomping on your phone.
You all mentioned Twitter, but I don't think there's enough characters, on tweets for him to have a Twitter, right?
He would be droning on and on.
It's kind of like writing poetry, very cryptic, very, sort of random all over the place.
Like Elvis, he would die on the commode.
Click that add tweet. And
he wouldn't even press the send. He would just go on and on until phone battery dies.
Get really good at haiku. That's all.
Totally. So, Andy, what was your intro to Morrison? Was it just because you saw him in a bunch of the best rock bands of all time lists, or was it just you had good parents?
No, I had shitty parents actually, man. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
no. No, man. I my first introduction into that world, man, to the Doors, was when the movie came out back in '91. When was it 1991? I was a freshman in high school, man, and I went to watch the movie, and I was just blown away. I didn't know what the hell. I couldn't understand the movie, man. I was 15 years old, 14, 15 years old, and
it's
it just
fine.
went
My
over
co-host
head.
John is like, hey, I like some of Oliver Stone's movies. That's not one of them.
Yeah, it was just, it went over my head, man, and I couldn't grasp what the hell was going on what I was watching. And but I think prior to that, I may have heard like "Light My Fire," in the mid '80s.
Hello, I love you. Won't you?
Yeah, "Break On Through," or and I remember watching the movie. I was like, man, I've heard that song. Where did I hear that before? But yeah, that was my introduction to the Doors, man. And then it took me about another 2 or 3 times after that to fully appreciate the movie. you know. And
No, I know what you mean, because not
yeah.
every. I had certain film reference books that could help me out, but there was other times where I'm just like, yeah, my folks like certain stuff and everything, but I can't go to just them, and I can only listen to so many college professors and film historians. How do you make up your own mind while also respecting stuff and saying, I get it? No, really, I get it. And
right.
I would always just do the whole, okay, at the minimum, I'm going to take free watches, and at the max 6 rewatches. But after a while, you got to throw in the towel and just say, it's not for me.
Oh, yeah. 6 times is a lot. You've given it more than it's due.
Well, that's just it, too. And it would be with certain action and horror movie blockbusters that just people were constantly mentioning. And
I got you.
But, yeah, there were other ones where it's just like, I am being way too kind right now. I just feel like there's a good movie in here somewhere, but I'm just not entertained at all.
Right,
it sucks, especially when there's like 200 people. It makes like so many constant like best of all time lists, and you're like, do I just do a well-worded argument, or do I just say I don't get it? Surrender.
Yeah,
you just don't get it, man.
But yeah,
that's how my reviews started when I wrote it in my college.
Just don't fucking get it, man.
My first sentence was just wow, and then so I gave it a pretty good review, I think. What is everyone's age here? I'm just interested. Andy Z looks a little closer to my age, but
okay, well,
45, man.
So
okay, because I'm more interested to hear how the young pups got into this. Because I mean, I only discovered the Doors.
Casper was saying 99, so
I just turned 22.
Yeah. All right, so there you go.
Because I did the same thing. Like when I was in the 80s, I should have been listening to hair metal. I was finding the Dead and the Doors and Zeppelin. And
isn't that wild though too? Because by mid 90s, like those magazines were drying up, like certain ones, and Rolling Stone is clearly not the Rolling Stone that was back then. It's owned by the Koch brothers now, and it just seems to be a popularity contest, like even worse so than maybe Entertainment Weekly in some capacity. And it's just like, yeah, it's like most mainstream metal didn't really get played after MTV dried up and became reality TV. So it's just like, yeah, I mean, same thing kind of with like, how do you rediscover certain 70s bands unless you've been doing it basically all your life?
Yeah, but I mean, when I was doing the classic rock DJ thing, a lot of my listeners, a ton of my listeners were, it's like 18, 19 years old. And I'm just like, where did you either have very cool parents or, you just somehow discovered this on your own? And I have great parents, but my mother, I know the words to every ABBA song and the Carpenters because that's what my mother inundated us with.
You're not alone in that. I was raised on
so
ZZ Top and the Pointer Sisters and all kinds of music. So I had the best of all worlds, but I know what you mean.
I was rebelling against her influence of anything, like anything that doesn't sound like top of the world looking down on creation. Yeah.
Yeah, I would see junior high and even later high school and college. I saw some people were just now getting to even just Led Zeppelin and Van Halen. I was like, well, I guess better than never, but whatever. I mean, I had some faith. There were clearly a lot of people, they were listening to their records growing up or just they were on it. They had ways of listening to all of it.
Turned me on to stuff like Gabriel Genesis and stuff, but I didn't really got into the Doors from them. So,
well, that's a good segue because it does seem kind of like Morrison could have been continually done kind of solo work, kind of like a Genesis project, and he just never, why life took him too soon, and
he took himself too soon, as many rockers do, and it's just sometimes it's weird to speculate like.
I didn't mean to.
Like, what would Hendrix be doing now, or 20 years ago or whatever? And it's just like I'm not sure we want that answer. I'm not sure.
Did he take himself too seriously, or was his ego too powerful? What was it?
I think, yeah. I mean, Kacper said about Kacper said he didn't really like that, the spotlight, and he probably wouldn't like the adulation on Twitter and stuff that he would get. But I think there's an aspect of him and all celebrities that do. I mean, I don't think you get on a stage.
Did he go on way too long? Then he,
no, he didn't. I think he would have potentially if he continued. Because I mean, despite I guess trying to get a little healthier, I think he was probably still a raging alcoholic. I don't know if there's any
rage against the machine.
It'll kill most people if you let it. So.
Mm-hmm.
What I think is interesting, and I did some research about this. I majored in psych in college, so this probably has something to do with why I was looking at it for this
I
angle.
love you already.
But what they say is that with the Doors, or bands like the Doors, but specifically Jim and the Doors, so there's like that universal theme of rebellion, right? That kind of transcends generations. And so maybe that's why like there's a lot of younger people who are aware of who Jim is and are into the Doors just because of those themes, like, you know, songs like 5 to 1, right? Like that's about rebelling against the older generation, and just a sense of freedom and rebellion that kind of will always be there no matter what year it is. So I think that's probably a big part of why they are so relevant.
No, that's good too. So would you say he properly gave a voice to all the angst of the 70s, or was he just a part of the big crowd, part of the party?
He was a part of it, but he was different, right? Because like the Summer of Love was going on when the Doors broke through, right, with their first album. And instead of being kind of all lovey-dovey psychedelic, they were a little bit more darker themes, right? In the song The End, there's like an Oedipus part. So it was like a different spin on I guess what was going on around the times. It's instead of being all very, I guess, positive and flowery, there were aspects of kind of like the world isn't the nicest place and we're going through a lot, and Jim kind of was able to be a spokesperson in that way.
Also,
so Ken, I'll let you jump in. I've let you get any points you want.
What I think is what we haven't brought up yet is the Doors with the first records about what's over 50 years old. There's still nobody who sounds like them. 50 years.
I haven't seen any tribute band really that's tried to recapture them. Excuse me if I don't know much about anyone who really has done that, but I mean, it's just like,
no.
How do you?
Nobody sounds like the Doors.
You make a good point though, Cam. Because I mean, I live in a town where there are literally like, tribute bands for.
There's even a band that plays Transformers music dressed as Autobots.
Right. Yeah.
So this is like
I would go see that, but like we've got Bieber tribute bands already, and debate the validity of that ever needing to happen. But I don't know of any Doors tribute bands. I mean, you have some bands that
maybe do covers. Obviously, I'm sure someone's done Light My Fire.
That's a very big thing. I mean, we got the Stop Making Sense thing that does the whole movie, and we got Tragically Hip tribute band. Every tribute band you can think of except the Doors.
Yeah. That's a good point too, because like just about everybody's done something maybe that's a tribute to the Who or Pink Floyd or especially Talking Heads. But has anyone done?
No, if you pull off the Talking Heads, you can pull off the Doors, and I just you think that would just be huge, but nobody does it.
There's a tribute band out there called I don't know, you guys may have, it's called Wild Child.
Okay,
nice name.
Yeah, they're playing. Matter of fact, they're playing in Arizona here in February 5th. They got another gig in March. Just I don't know where you guys are at, but I'm here
everywhere.
What's that?
Like Rule 34, there had to be one, but they just don't seem to be plentiful.
Yeah, no, of course, man. They're few and far between, but that's one I've that's kind of decent and notable is this one called Wild Child, and they gig throughout LA, the LA area, Southern California.
Cool.
So, but that's one that comes to mind.
And we all cut off Ken again. I'm sorry, man.
I could hear him, but he was just talking about how it's just not that far afield. If you can do a Talking Head like tribute, and you can probably do the Doors. But yeah, he was saying how there's just a few different type of concerts that are kind of doing that kind of thing where they're doing a throwback. And it is kind of wild. It's like, did the Rolling Stones kind of just steal their thunder because they're just more upbeat, or what? I would like to.
They're definitely more accessible. I mean, the Doors are not accessible. I mean, the poppy stuff is good, but my
father thought they were cool. My mother was like, "Stop
playing my Fire," and then go listen to Horse Latitude. You're like, what happened here?
Yeah,
that's true.
And I remember when the movie came out, and I was a freshman in high school. And I was wearing my Doors T-shirt, and my English teacher said, "Well,
it's all cool again, man."
They were more. Well, she said that they were more of almost like a cult type band.
Yeah.
When they were out,
I could see that.
Like everyone liked Nirvana, everyone liked Pearl Jam, but the avant-garde people, they like the Screaming Trees or Mudhoney kind of thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
A friend of the show, Ken Krantz, we just wrapped up a 9 Inch Nails episode actually an hour ago. He was talking about, he was doing a deep dive into the Beach Boys when he first started out and found out they had so many connections with Charles Manson. And
Oh yeah, big time.
I could
Oh,
definitely
wow.
see a lot of watchdogs at that time, probably giving them the same kind of, ugly eye saying, "Hey, you're one of them colts, back off, don't listen to that shit." And
I think they're shrewdly marketed that way. I think the marketers were actually better back in that era than they are now. I think bands like, Pearl Jam and
Morrison would be getting auto-tuned about now and be like, "Oh, okay, now I really am going to blow my
oh,
brains out."
good Lord, let's hope not. But he certainly needed it in concert a couple times. But I think, Pearl Jam, and they were mass marketed, and I don't think you would ever mass market the Doors. You do now.
How could you?
They,
Yeah.
they know how to do it now, and they did. They probably days after Morrison's death, and I'm sure there was a room full of marketers just going off on each other saying, "Oh my God, just money to be printed here." But
They tried. They tried
I think,
after with Light My Fire, but they came out with
they needed a little money, so they sold it
Strange
around.
Days. They said,
Yeah.
"Oh, we're gonna do. You like Light My Fire? We're gonna do this now."
Yeah, but I think that like the Grateful Dead. You don't try to buy radio ads for the Grateful Dead. You slap a bunch of posters up around San Francisco, and people,
Right.
Yeah.
You don't tell people who Dr. John is. You listen to Dr. John.
right. And I think the Doors were kind of marketed more to the avant-garde, and rightfully so. In connections with Warhol and everything. So and Velvet Underground. So that's where you get your audience like that. So if they're buying enough tickets, screw it. You don't need anybody else.
I think there was a quote by Ray Manzarek, right, the keyboardist for the Doors, where he said, "Only intelligent people listen to the Doors." And he kind of he liked that quote because there's so much literature, right? Like there's a website I found where it's literally called the Jim Morrison Reading List, and you can go through and kind of see the books that he read. There's like the beat writers like On the Road, Ginsberg, Burroughs, Kerouac, right? And then there's also
That's a good
philosophy, like
point.
Nietzsche, and some other stuff. So
Big time Nietzsche.
yeah, I agree that they're definitely not as accessible just because they're not as poppy, right? There's so many different elements that go in there, and it takes a lot of time to kind of understand everything, or you'd have to read a lot of books to really see why
Even their
certain songs
name.
are written. Even their name, yeah.
I'm glad you say that because, I do feel like the Doors is a perfect example of, we've always had the, respect the art versus the artist. I think the Doors is a perfect example. Is just like their torture, their angst, their tragedy is our enjoyment. Like that's just everything. You can't just sum it up without it. Like that's just what made them what they are.
They
And
managed to put out enough, accessible stuff, though. All of the.
oh, totally. And
what
I
you
think
consider
that's why they're
dance.
accessible is just they put so much into their art. It ate away at themselves, and but they left us just so much work to where it's just like, I don't not want their work. Their work is excellent. I can't not have them, Hendrix, Stones, and plenty of other rock stars from later eras.
Ken brings up a good point, though, with the name, right? The Doors of Perception by Huxley, which was a play off of William Blake's poem, right? That quote where, if the doors of, how does that quote go? If the doors of perception were cleansed, man would see how everything is, like infinite, right? So there's a lot of crazy psychological, philosophical things that go into even the name, as well as the music.
So true.
Yeah.
And I think that's just it. You're gonna have to listen to these multiple times anyway, and even then, I still can't go on the radio without hearing like Roadhouse Blues or just Hello, I Love You. It's just there's something that's going to be played on there anyway, and I think they were just the best at just kind of breaking through. Just they're one of many bands that much like Bowie has just so much from every era and it's just very diverse. I think they were already kind of diverse before, regardless of whether they did or didn't. And I don't think, but I agree with you guys' points. I don't think they're smarter than the average bear, or I think they knew what they were doing. And after a while, when you're soaking in all that blood, sweat, and tears, you forget after a while how good you are at doing what you're doing. And I think, I don't think it's a cult thing. Like, you just don't get it, man. It's drug music only. I don't think it's only drug music. I think it's great for drug music, but I also think it does shine to those who just legit want to jam and do believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't say I don't get a story from any of them.
And
I want to continually want to re-listen to them and see some of where just what is fueling their passion and creativity, even in certain lyrics. So I'm totally with you all. I don't think it's just a get it or you don't, or it's cult hit but it doesn't deserve to be in the top 250. No, in terms of music, they're in the top 250 artists.
for my money, Jim Morrison's the rock star I would want to be.
Yeah.
I'd want to look like that.
I'm pretty sure Charlie
like that.
Sheen, who I mentioned earlier, probably wants to be Jim Morrison. I mean, he basically was. He just didn't do it as well. He didn't go out when he should have gone out.
He was the perfect archetype. I mean, all women want to screw him. Probably a lot of men too. All men want to be him. Maybe a lot of women too. So I mean, that's the goal, right? I mean, and live hard, fast, and a beautiful corpse, and he accomplished everything. So I mean, he is pretty much
get screwed, but don't get fucked.
He's tied for first with Robert Plant, basically, as being the rock star, and Jagger, three-way tie with Jagger, for being I guess Daltrey. Okay, I could go on all day, but for being like the perfect rock star, archetype for the 70s on, essentially.
Yeah, because I think that's a good compare. Well, sorry, I'll let you guys go ahead, but then I'll weigh in.
I'd still want to be Jim.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
So yeah, Daltrey's still going, but yeah, I think he was just another one. He just had,
nobody wants, they're all old. You gotta want to die young like Jim. Pretty. I tried most of my life, and
I'll try to die young. It's not working well so far.
That's the weird thing, though, isn't it? It's like he died at 27, like a lot of other famous musicians, and so it's tragic that they die so young. But at the same time, they're 27 forever, right? Like they never get old. They always live on.
I think it was Robert Johnson 27 too. No, probably not.
Yeah, he was.
Was he?
Wow.
The more you know.
That's the age. That's it. Read the fine print, rockers. You got to negotiate for at least 30, man. Come on.
Right?
We want a couple more years out of you. Your posthumous record sales will go up a lot more if you get those extra couple albums in.
Yeah, better get living.
Hi, everyone. I'm Scott, and I'm a morbid son of a bitch.
You fit right in.
Welcome to the club. I can't tell you what episode we haven't done where we haven't mentioned someone that's kind of got darker, morbid. That's where I just say, okay, you see the explicit rating, so fuck off.
I have not dropped the F-bomb yet tonight, I think.
Let me do it for you. Fuckity fuck.
I think I was even good the other night in the Madsen chat.
That was such a great. Speaking of which, he's in the Doors. He's really awesome.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was.
Shades, man. The shades.
Best lines in the movie is when Morrison meets him. He's like,
You're
"Hey,
the second person I know who said that." I
You
got a great penis."
Totally. So how would you guys want to introduce people to the Doors? Because it's not easy for any of this.
Here's my answer.
No.
And put on the Doors.
Just put on.
I'd say you can begin and end with "Light My Fire." If you don't like "Light My Fire," you're not gonna like them.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta disagree with that though, because I think that's such a wider. I guess you have to know, as you said, who you're introducing him to. I guess because if it's someone like me, "Light My Fire," as I said, kind of immediately turned me off. But give me something like when the music's
to be fair,
over.
it is very overplayed, so it's a matter of. I mean,
and like this is still going on. It's 10 minutes. This is freaking awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it depends on your audience, but because as I said, if you introduce someone to "Light My Fire" and then give them an album like, "Hey, try the deeper stuff," they're going to be like, "What happened?" So yeah, you have to give them a little bit of both worlds. I think a little "Light My Fire" and then the end.
Let them watch. Let them listen to the Riders on the Storm extended version, man.
There you go.
Oh no, that's a good point. That would definitely make a difference in terms of just let everyone know. I mean, it's kind of like if we are in terms of just movies, this is like, what kind of movies are we putting on? Where we're going to start? You know, what did you know him from versus what does everyone else kind of mainly seem to know him from? I think,
Right.
if you're going to do Doors, I guess you could do those two giant songs and just even maybe this is what I love about just the iTunes in general. Like the last 2 years, I was just playing just the greatest hits and the deep dives. And it's like, I think those are the best ways to introduce anyone to music nowadays. Just have it on all days, repeat it a bit, see what you like, what you don't like, see why everyone else likes what they like. And it's really the only way you're going to get a good sense of their place in pop culture. But yeah, anyone else who just has any other just giant thoughts, please.
I just want to say something about the movie. It's probably I'm going to give it maybe the third best depiction of using psychedelics in a movie.
Nice.
Maybe second. Maybe and my number one has got to be Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Because they just nailed the carpet melting thing, people melting thing, and the people turning
melting.
Thing.
You're talking about the desert scene, right?
In the Doors.
That's a
yeah,
great scene.
Definitely. Or the beginning of when he's on the car and he starts, the sky starts spinning in his voice. My voice has done that before.
Wouldn't be the same without that.
I don't think anyone else heard it. I did.
I went over my head as a
Young Guns
freshman in
2,
high
I
school,
think
by the
was
way.
the other one. It was either the first Young Guns or the second Young Guns where they're eating peyote.
That was the first one. Yeah.
Frank Wally, right?
Yeah.
He's in the second one.
Yeah, and Lou Gossett Jr. and
You got to say that in an epic way, my friend. Louis Gossett Jr.
Not Louis Gossett Jr. Lou Diamond Phillips. Where the hell did I come from? But yeah,
Diamond Phillips. We just covered him too. He was
Officer and a Young Gun. I think the movie was
Officer and a Young Guy. That sounds like a fucking amazing. Maybe not too Me Too friendly. That sounds kind of pervy now that I think about it. Take it back. And a young guy.
It is kind of confusing that the Doors have a record called Waiting for the Sun, but the song Waiting for the Sun is not on that record.
That's right.
Really?
I listened to that song today, actually.
It was meant to be on there, probably. I
It
think.
was Houses of the Holy situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they scrapped Waiting for the Sun, the song, and then decided to put on the next album, or they couldn't get it done in time. Something like that.
It was just really worth the wait. I mean, it is a great song.
Yeah.
Like,
I think with Waiting for the Sun, they
What
wanted to make the second side the entire celebration of the lizard,
Yeah.
but it just wound up not working out. So they just had a bunch of stuff in the studio they put together, which I think that's one of their best records, but that's just a personal choice.
The Celebration of the Lizard?
Oh, well, I just like Waiting for the Sun, but Not to Touch the Earth is probably my favorite Doors song.
Yeah, like they took that from Celebration, right?
Yep.
Like, they took the scrap, and I have to agree with you. I think that's my favorite album. And I was going to ask all of you, what are your favorite Doors albums? Some people say that their last one, LA Woman, was the best. Like I said, I think Waiting for the Sun was their best, but what do you all think?
That's a good question.
Oh man, they're all great.
I thought I was supposed to be doing
If you have to go on a desert island, you have to only take one Doors album. Which one do you take?
Oh.
I'll probably Roadhouse Blues. I'm sorry. I just that makes me want to work out. Just
Wait,
listen to
let
that.
me change that. If you have to go on a desert island and take peyote, which one Doors album?
With peyote,
is
baby.
with you?
Does change the equation.
Yeah.
Probably. Oh God. I mean, I'm more of like I never really got into them as album entities. It was more just the songs that I loved.
Okay.
No, that's fine because I mean,
Which is unusual for me, but I mean, I'd have to have like be able to do an iTunes shuffle of my
There's that, but I mean,
gotta have
everyone
one.
has their pros and cons. Like, I can't do my father's thing that he did with all his college buddies, where it's just like, you know the band, you know the song, but do you know the album? And I'm just like, probably not.
I used to be that kind of guy, and I eventually hated myself for it.
Because yeah, I mean, half
I
the
had
time.
no more friends because they all left me.
Oh,
Music pretentiousness. I don't know. It's because I gotta have, like, as goofy as it is, I gotta have Alabama Song. I gotta have Backdoor. But I also gotta have When the Music's Over and the more weird Native American stuff. Ghost
well,
Day.
and half the time you don't know if people want to just know it just for bragging rights, or they legit like it because they're that hardcore a fan.
Right.
And
I'd
it's just
say
like,
both.
Yeah, there was probably when I first started hanging with my high
it's
school.
old after a while.
Like, hey, check out the Doors, man. I'm like, yeah, okay. I heard these guys on the radio. They kind of sucked, and then I actually got into it, but I probably didn't get into it as much as some of my friends. Like,
Well,
I've got one
because
friend
they
who was
just
like,
unleashed it on you without any context. And even if you want to make the argument that there isn't really context to certain Doors songs, I mean, you got to have a little just build up, if you want to actually come out, take away something.
I hope I've never been one of those guys that like actually grabs you and be like, you have to listen to this Universal end. But I have friends like that with some music. I have a friend who's probably the biggest Blue Oyster Cult fan in the world. And he does get to annoying levels sometimes in his fandom because I have no freaking idea what he's talking to. I love I've seen BLC times, but I ain't that hardcore about any band. I'm a Deadhead, but I didn't even know Jerry got remarried till I watched this documentary the other day. So, I mean, I love my songs and my music, but I guess I've never been that obsessed with a fan.
Well, no, that's not a bad thing either, because it seems like, that's what they see in their eyes, is just people clamoring at them, saying they want to bang them or stalk them.
I don't.
That gets old after a while too. Where it's like, yo, man, just peace. I'll do an autograph, but fuck, I'm not.
Oh, I can't even imagine. I mean, I had like small town fame as a radio person. That's pretty weird in itself, but because especially radio, like people think they know you.
I had an awesome interview with him on KNOM. I know.
They misty for me.
Hey, dude, I actually had somebody call me and say that to me.
Oh no!
And
Hey, why are you trying to regurgitate all his tragedy? Bad boy, bad.
No, I wasn't. Actually,
I'm just joking.
But
they
has anyone ever heard the recording of Jim Morrison with Jimi Hendrix?
no.
Because you think it's going to be amazing. It's not.
No, I mean, that could go either way.
So this was
Even Hendrix had his really
So
bad.
you're telling me this was like the Chuck Berry and Yoko Ono.
It's just Jim Morrison, very drunk, screaming obscenities in the microphone.
Okay, well,
I didn't know that
at
existed.
point,
I didn't know the audio of that existed. Is that on YouTube?
Does that audio exist
I heard it way back in the LimeWire days.
somewhere?
oh, hey, shout out to LimeWire, baby.
Oh,
That was a
LimeWire
rapid
used to
share.
Oh,
Treasures, baby, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know that existed. I know the story. I know that Jim got really drunk and started grabbing Hendrix's legs when he was performing on stage. But I wasn't aware that the audio was out there.
Yeah.
And we thought Guns N' Roses' Chinese Democracy was bad enough.
Oh, no, it's bad. It's just Jim basically screaming F her in the A, and it's not good.
Where was
Have
that?
you guys heard
What was
the
the
audio
video
of
of
the
that?
Miami concert?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure.
That's pretty tough to listen to. It's just him just dropping F-bombs and saying a bunch of terrible things. And
yeah, because at least in the movie, he says, you're all a bunch of slaves. Makes it sound cool.
Right,
He's just so belligerent, like, you're a bunch of
Yeah,
fucking
they make
idiots.
Morrison sound a lot more like intentionally revolutionary in the movie than he really was, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of people like songs like 5 to 1 are freaking awesome. I mean, that's a revolutionary anthem, but I mean, I don't think he really intended it much that way. He was just like, oh, this has got a cool beat. Let's throw some words together, get people up.
Right.
I do like the movie,
It'll
but I
eventually
also
start making sense.
Yeah.
I also like what Dennis Leary did say. Folks, do we need a 3-hour movie about the Doors? We don't. I'm drunk, I'm nobody, I'm drunk, I'm famous, I'm drunk, I'm dead.
Yeah, I gotta kind of agree with him. I mean, I love that movie. I mean, it's great performance.
That's pretty much what I would say for just about every other award-winning. Yeah.
I like it, but it is still funny to say that.
Oh well, you could say that for anything like post-Avatar or what have you. It's like, do we need everything for 8 hours? So and so lived, or it's like that one Mystery Science.
It's gonna be almost 3 hours. I'm fucking here for
it's
it.
like that one riff on that one Mystery Science Theater episode. I forget which one. It's like he died as he died. He lived as he lived.
I specifically know what Morrison reference in MST3K, Laser Blast.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yep.
He's like about balancing himself, and one of them goes. I think it was Tom Servo says, "I am the Lizard King."
Oh, gotta love it. And this is the best thing about how they had unleashed those reference books, and some of which are on the Wicca. This is like, now it's even funnier now that you know that reference.
What is everyone else's favorite albums? I sidetracked this once again, but I mean,
I couldn't tell you, but I've listened to so much of their material. I just really, to me, they will always just be in a top like 100 bands because I just feel myself just lifted away from any stressful life, and I've never done any drugs or anything, and I just legit I get the passion from the artist, regardless of their crazy ass life. Like, just that their insanity is just translates very well to me, and I don't feel like it's just. I don't even feel like so many people are even necessarily even trying to pose. Like, there's always that, like, I've seen all this popular music or movies nowadays. I don't think I've ever seen anyone who's like a poser of the Doors. I think they're too deep for them. I see it for the Beatles and Rolling Stones, sure, but I've never seen it with now anyone can feel free to correct me. I've never seen anyone try to say, hey, I want to be just like Jim. I want to just
what's his name? Ian, this guy, the guy from the Cult is definitely trying to be Jim Morrison. I'd wager even Billy Idol in a way had a lot of Jim Morrison in him.
The Cult definitely gave me vibes from him.
Yeah. Oh, he was like, he would go in interviews and be like, he's God, I think
Fire
he did an interview once where he thought he was the reincarnation of it, but he did a lot of acid back then, so that may not be accurate.
Nice.
So
very
I
nice.
don't know if you guys are fans of Black Flag, the punk band from the 80s. Yeah. I saw a performance that they did. It was Henry Rollins when he was singing. He was doing My War live, and somebody commented that Henry Rollins was like the 90s post-apocalyptic version of Jim Morrison. I thought that was kind of an interesting take.
He segued into spoken word shit that was awesome.
Yeah.
He was Tom Waits meets Jim Morrison. Got it.
Yeah. If you read Henry's
TV shows and movies, though, man, he's got to stop that.
You read Henry's tour journal from Black Flag. He talks about meeting Ray Manzarek, being invited to hang out. Yeah.
Well, I know Ray he was a producer for X's album.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's interesting. The punk Doors connection.
Very much so. It's pretty much the gist I've gotten from a lot of those guys. Any punk or rock scene, typically they're going to be sneaking some kind of Morrison kind of reference, because I think it's not just Morrison, that many were listening to him. I think it's also just they got a similar kind of vibe and just recklessness to their
He's the
creativity.
Bad boy.
Yeah, totally. Bad boy attitude. Just how do you channel your anger and all your thoughts and just have it make sense. And I mean, so I think, if you're going to be in a recording studio, do you want to be Billy Joel? Or do you want to be Jim Morrison? You can do either.
You want to be Billy Joel, but
Billy Joel's going to want to redo it if it isn't working.
Do I get to go home to 80s Christy Brinkley?
Good point.
Ooh.
Do you want to spend the amount of money you probably had to in alimony for marrying Christy Brinkley?
Yeah. Having not been there, it might be worth
going creatively. I mean, I'm sure that is interesting. Yeah, Morrison, did he ever keep down really any of his girlfriends other than like the one portrayal in the movie? It seemed like he.
Well, that Pam was his long time. I guess you'd call her a common law wife, and she owns all his. I don't know about now, but I know after his passing, he left all his stuff was hers. She owned it, and then when she died, it went to her family.
Yeah.
Right. Oh. intriguing because I could have sworn, anyone else I think would have just been for multiple partners or just for the ringer, and then miserable with the more people that they're breaking up because they're not being a sustainable kind of love interest. They can't even take care of themselves. So, yeah, it's kind of a rarity for a rock star. But yeah, just closing thoughts. Ken, Kacper, and Scott.
I just wanted to bring up the famous.
You guys sound like an awesome batch of just like, I don't know, like bank robbers or outlaws. Kacper and Scott.
I was gonna just talk about the Ed Sullivan Show, that famous story. I love that story where they asked Jim
watching those
to not sing "Girl, We Couldn't Get Much Higher," right? They wanted him to sing "Girl, We Couldn't Get That Much Better," and he just totally ignored that and decided to sing "We Can't Get Much Higher." And then after the show, Ed comes up, all pissed off, and he's like, "You guys should never come on the show again." And they said, "Well, we did it. Why would we come again? We just did it."
Why wouldn't you do that?
It's just that attitude, that badass, bad boy attitude.
Exact opposite of anything someone asked you to do on TV.
I'm too good for your fucking show, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's why my music, I was on Ed Sullivan and I did the same thing, but mine didn't take off like the Doors for some reason.
Oh,
past life. But yeah, I mean that's rock and roll right there. It's like, come on, why are you even having me on this show, for God's sake?
Too damn good for your show. He should have, if only he had just waited a while and been on Daryl Hall's
right, yeah,
Sammy Hagar's tour.
If you're a TV producer and you don't do your homework, then you got nobody to blame but yourself, and your boss shouldn't blame anybody but you. As long as I'm talking, I actually like the Doors probably less than I used to. Like, I think I've scrutinized them more over the years and decided maybe they weren't, as quite as amazing as I used to think.
This is the joy of how everything ages after a while.
Yeah. When I first started listening to them, I was in the throes of my first steps into experimental consciousness expanding.
That's how I am with certain movies. I've seen them to death to where they literally, they have zero impact on me anymore. And I don't mean that they're bad movies or anything. I just mean, and the same thing with certain music. It's just like, it was cool, but
Cam, I told you not to watch Serbian film every day.
Oh no, I was talking about Back to the Future.
I don't want to be on that
podcast. I do want to rewatch that one. Yeah.
Wait, Scott, why is that? You think it just, as you've gotten older, you just kind of, your perspective's changed, or?
Some of it's like I can't listen. I have what I call my list, which is songs that I never
too much play on the radio.
Yeah. Basically, I used to have to play break on through 3 times a freaking week.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so I don't really even. Music is religious. It's the only religion I still have, really. To me, music is the only true voice of God, and it's another level for me than some people. I think you guys are probably included in my cohort. I'm sure you feel it the same way, but
totally.
I don't really seek it out as much as I used to. I don't really go and listen to my favorite artists as much as I used to, and I wonder why that is sometimes. And I said maybe it's just absolute overplay.
I think you just need some new shit, man.
I think I just like it coming up randomly more often. I listen
Gotcha.
when I'm driving, and that's really the only time I listen to music unless I'm playing it along.
I've had some stuff. I would have literally a great to die for list on my.
I've got a Spotify list that would fucking kill you, but I mean, it just.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much in that same boat. There are days where it's like, I need a little something more.
Yeah. I have my days. I have my Dora days. I have my Zep days. I have my new stuff days. I have my, shit I've never listened to before days. And it's telling me my internet connection is unstable. Is everyone still hearing me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's been an alarming message. But, I don't know. I mean, it's not that I think there are any less of musicians, or although I think that is some of it, that I've experienced a lot more musicians since then, even just in the city I live in, that are just so amazing that, they're just as good as the Doors, and they just didn't get the luck of the break. And hopefully if they had, we appreciate, I think that a lot of it's I kind of get mad at some of these rockers now too. you know, like I just watched this Dead documentary. A lot of my friends are Deadheads, and I've caught a lot of cover bands over the last couple of years in Rochester, New York, because there's a lot of them. Would be necessary. But it's just like I stopped listening to them for a while too, and just stopped going to the scene. And I like either live music or you said just kind of random on the radio. My girlfriend must hate me when I listen to the radio because it's like something comes up that I've heard within the last 10 years and I just like can't do it. Like just keep flipping until something I haven't heard in forever comes up. You know, I'm going along, and if Pina Colada song comes up, it's like, oh, I haven't heard that one since 1979 when I was 10. We got to hear that now. But as far as anything else I used to listen to on a regular basis, it's just kind of in the closet collecting dust for me. I don't know why, but I love it when I hear it. All right, that was a long ass rant. You guys need to shut me up more often.
Well, that's okay. I'll listen to the Doors for you.
Yeah. I would suggest it. I'm sure you guys have done this before, but if it's ever raining and you're driving, Riders on the Storm. There's nothing like it, especially at nighttime.
Riders on the Storm.
It's like a goal of mine to go out west to like California, right into the desert, just kind of drive one night, listen to that song.
Yeah, no doubt.
Nice.
Something very mystical about it.
Ladders on the Storm.
I'm actually missed it.
Because if it's raining, you gotta pee.
I was actually going through New Mexico at dawn with the sun rising behind me and California in front of me, and I didn't think to put that fucking song on. I'm like really embarrassed now.
That would have been a good idea. That or
next time I do it, I'm sure there was some dead or something mystical going on in the radio.
You were probably being taken over by an Indian spirit.
That would have been cool. It didn't help me in Las Vegas. They're not for owning as many casinos as they do. They didn't help my luck any. Maybe that's because it wasn't a Native American casino. That's it. That's the key.
I'm surprised no one's done a Shining and just said, hey, instead of a haunted house on Native American ground, how about a Native American casino?
This would be boring because it'd just be a guy sitting there at the slot machine till like his wife came over 2 days later. It's like, would you like some, dinner or something, man? And then he slays her. Like, no, leave me alone. That's why I'm not a scriptwriter, kids. So don't ever hire me as one.
I don't know, man. I'm interested now. I want to at least do the dialogue rewriting. Some creative cursing contributions. Bye.
Oh, we can do that. Yeah, script doctor. Profanity script doctor. I could do that. I'll give you more F words in a Scorsese movie, brother.
But can you do more than Rob Zombie?
What?
More than Tarantino and Rob Zombie.
Is he the leader now? I lost count.
You Rob Zombie.
Don't check the charts anymore.
Rob Zombie loves the F word almost as much as he loves his wife. I would leave everyone with check out the Soft Parade. It's their album that bombed, but it's a lot of really good stuff if you give it a chance.
The one that bombed is usually my favorite in music.
Get that, like the Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique. Nobody wanted it when it came out, and now it's one of everyone's favorites.
Yeah, like classic of hip hop. Yeah, it was fuck you all that didn't like it. I was on board. I knew back then.
My final thoughts would be listen to The Doors, and shameless plug, check out my account on Instagram, Jim Morrison and Friends. Yeah. I post daily pictures of Jim. Feel free to leave comments, and we can celebrate the man, the myth, the legend.
Okay, well, thank you all for being in here. So I'll let you promote the other material. I gotta jump on another chat. So
who's what now?
I gotta jump on another chat, so I'm gonna let you guys plug your shows. Thank you for being on here.
Oh, well, I have none, so I will just call it a night, gentlemen. Nice talking with y'all.
You owned it. Thank you.
I have no podcast to plug, but I hope to return to the Jacked Up Review show soon.
Told it. Kacper, anything?
Like I said, just the Instagram. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed the chat.
You rock. Thank you.
We'll return after these messages.
JURS Podcast is proud to promote AutoCorrect, an independent film company with experienced industry professionals who can serve all your film industry needs. They include self-tapes, voice actor recordings, demo reel editing, script revisions, headshots, and much more. They're actor correct at your request. Book them on Instagram.
Hey, feeling down? Feeling low? Not enough podcasts about movies in your life? Why not try
They must be destroyed on sight.
the new Podcast Cure-All? Sure to get you right with the world and on a path to better living. We have exploitation, we have Italian horror, we have zombies, we have slashers, we have crime films, we have spaghetti westerns, we even have sci-fi and sex comedies. So take a dose of
They must be destroyed on sight.
as needed and let the hosts, Lee Russell, Daniel Harper, Paul Romali, and the odd guest host cure what ails you.
Warning, may cause atrophy, African consumption, black fever, bone shave, chin cough, colic, cramp colic, dropsy of the brain, elephantitis, grocer's itch, jaundice, mania, miasma, mortification, palsy, Pott's disease, rheumatism, scurvy, St. Anthony's fire, summer complaint, and worm fit in some people. Consult a physician before listening.
Did you ever see a film at such a young age it left you traumatized with cinematic wounds? Necrophilia. It's a dead issue, man. Don't push it. Cinema Psyops is a weekly podcast documenting an ongoing experiment on the mind of an unwilling test subject.
No one should have to watch this movie.
Oh, no one should have to watch this?
No one should have to watch this movie.
Surprisingly, it's not a topic that a lot of people really want to tackle.
I'm shocked, prudes.
I know, really.
Right?
It's the next sexual frontier that no one wants to explore.
I am, in the most sincerest of senses, disappointed in you.
It takes a powerful goddess like Connie, jam her arm down the monster's throat and kill it. Oh, I'm still tripping out over that. Even as a kid, I was like, I gotta find a girl like that. Every week, I get a new look of disappointment that I never thought I could get out of it.
Unimaginable. At 12 years old, you should not be watching this movie.
Obviously.
At 13, you should not be. 14, you shouldn't be. I'm not entirely sure even 17-year-olds should be watching this movie.
Just because you're offended by something doesn't mean that you have the right to demand that it doesn't exist. Watching this film again, I had all of this like little nerd glee with everything that kept
Little
popping
history all popping up
absolutely.
at you.
So I totally loved this film.
Hey, I know why you couldn't see that. It's because your brain's warped from watching this shit at 12 years old.
Yeah, this is a rough movie. I told you ahead of time when we were getting ready to do it that it was
How
going to be
could
a
you
rough
watch
one.
this shit at 12?
Because physical wounds heal, cinematic ones don't. Listen to Cinema Psyops.
Hey everybody, I'm Corey.
And I'm Zach, and we're the hosts of Podcasting After Dark, a cast dedicated to late-night horror and sci-fi of the 80s and 90s, often found on HBO and Cinemax.
You know, the movies your parents didn't want you watching as a kid. You can find us every other week on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, and Stitcher.
This is what you want.
This is what you get.
Greetings, friends. My name is Dean Legiro, and I'm the host of the 3324 podcast. I invite you to join me and my lifelong friend Eric Kuber to come with us as we discuss the music and movies that shaped our life. Each week, we'll pick an album or film that we really connect to, and not only give you some great info and trivia, but also discuss, debate, and celebrate what it means to us and the journey it took us on. We also look forward to hearing from you and giving us some of your picks for us to check out and discuss. I think it'll be a really fun experience, so come along with us for the ride. You can find us on your favorite podcast provider and at 3324.buzzsprout.com. Thanks for your time, and welcome to the 3324 family.
It's time, let's check our queue, baby. Pair it with a couple brews, baby. We love good movies. We love the bad ones too. So we watch them all and pass their lessons on to you. Oh yeah. Everything I learned from movies helps to make life a little bit groovy. With a one-last plot holes of gratuitous movies. It's time to get busy with your friend Steve and Izzy.
At eilfm.podbean.com.
We now continue with our program.
us on the web on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The podcast is available on Podbean, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, Apple, and anywhere else podcasts are available. Feel free to review our show and leave comments on any of those sites. Thanks a million for listening.
It's a jacked up